So, International Online Communication with the IVE Project is the title, yes. I've been doing this now for a long time, and what it basically is my students in the north of Japan are able to interact with students from around the world via this online project. And that's what I want to talk to you today about. We're going to cover what the IVE Project is, how we do it. We'll actually show you one of the live courses that's in progress right now. We'll cover some of the research and outcomes, and if you would like to join towards the end, I'll show you how to do that, because it's a really amazing project. I think you will agree with me after you finish seeing this presentation. We've been very fortunate to be sponsored by the Japanese government, and that's why it's also free of charge. There is no cost for you and your students to participate in this project. Okay, so since 2015, we've had more than 24,000 students and 400 teachers participate from 20 different countries. And it's just growing and growing. Next year, we will have 5 more countries at this stage who have signed up in the last few weeks who want to join next year. And more and more people are really getting involved. It's a really great way to teach your students English, because everything you teach them in class, they can use in this project with real interaction, real people all across the world. Okay, we create communities. That's what it boils down to, and you'll see those shortly. But communities of practice are really very important for things to start working. Obviously, as an individual, you can do a lot, but when you start to interact with others, you learn more and you can do more. And that's what is happening in the International Virtual Exchange Project. Groups of people, the teachers, sharing that passion for teaching, students sharing their passion for learning. They get together, they interact regularly, and they get better at both teaching and using English. That's what virtual exchange is all about, and that's what this project is all about. Okay. Virtual exchange has had quite a long history. I'm not sure if you've heard the term before. I hope you have. It's in the past been used. Some people have called it telecollaboration. Some people have called it computer-assisted learning, computer-assisted communication. Lots of different names, and there have been quite a few projects that have occurred around the world as well. Cultura was probably one of the first major ones. Furstenberg from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and Square from France. It was a very big project. The World Bank funded. World Links for Development was a great project. But these have not really kept it going, which is a little bit, well, the Cultura program is still going, but these other ones have kind of slowly gone away and developed into other things. I mean, obviously the Erasmus project is still going, and they're putting a lot of effort into virtual exchange as well, but often they are kind of limited. Erasmus is very much Eurocentric, whereas the International Virtual Exchange Project is really a worldwide one. And what we're hoping to do with this project is improving our students' cultural understanding, intercultural sensitivity, interaction confidence. We find that, and I'll show you some of the data from this, we found that students, because it's a closed system, it's a very secure system, and it's a gentle introduction to intercultural exchange. So because of that, people are more confident when they actually do the interaction, and that confidence grows as they move into it. Okay, we have seen linguistic improvement, and it's obvious that that would occur because there's a lot more input and there's a lot more output. We also see negotiation of meaning. These are the three absolutely crucial things for language development. Now, as the world becomes more globalized, teachers obviously wanting their students to interact with more people from other countries, use the English that they're studying, but employers also want people who are used to interacting and able to interact in culturally appropriate ways. And this is another thing that the International Virtual Exchange Project develops. Recently, the Keidanren, which is the Japan Business Federation, the biggest group of companies and employers throughout Japan, each year they put a kind of top 10 of the traits that they would like to see being developed by universities in Japan. And from 2 years ago, intercultural competence has been given a higher rating than even English language ability. So that intercultural competency is very, very, very important. So how do we do it? How do we do it? Let's have a look. We're going to go over to the course now and show you exactly what happens. So each course runs for 8 weeks. Okay. Prior to the course starting, if you decide you want to join, you send me your students' information and I upload it into the site. Prior to the exchange beginning, teachers also do some workshops. We do online workshops, and you get to understand exactly what you have to do and how you do it. Then when the students come, they enter the username and password that they've been given by you. Generally what we do is we get the student's student number as their username and initial password, and they log in, and then they have to change to their own password. When they log in, because I'm logging in as an administrator, I'm seeing a little bit different things here than what the students or teachers will see, but basically they'll see the course that they are enrolled in. When they click on that, they go to the course page. Now we ask them to initially do a consent form, and this consent form basically just says, you know, be polite, be nice, don't be rude, a few other very basic things that we ask them to do. And once they complete this consent form, then they can see the whole course. Now, I'm looking at this as a teacher and as an admin, so I'm actually seeing a lot more than what most students will see. Okay, so for example, we're doing some research at the moment where you see hidden from students and things like that, or restricted, then the students won't see that. But basically, the simple course page has 4 components. There's the focused group discussions, where we have about 15 to 20 students from around the world in small groups, and they use English to interact, and I'll show you what that looks like shortly. Then we have the open forum. Now, in this particular course, there are 3,000 students from 10 different countries in this single course here. But in the focus group discussion, they only see their group. They don't see other groups, only their own groups. In the open forum, all 3,000 students can see what people are doing. We also have recipes from around the world. I'll show you this shortly. It's an amazing database that the students create. And finally, we have a professions forum where students can interact and ask each other about different jobs in their countries. Okay, so what happens then? This is the focus group discussion. And right now, we are on our last topic. This coming week is the last week of this present exchange. So we're in the final 8th week coming up. We have 4 different topics that are covered over 2-week periods. Part 1, introductions, homes in our cultures, the culture around me, what I learned. Okay, you can see that here there are 200 groups, but students only see their group. Okay, so what we can see here is that a lot of people are interacting. And what does that interaction look like? Well, first student comes, they reply to here and in the group. So for example, this Chinese student, the Japanese student replies, Chinese student continues, Japanese student continues. So there's real communication happening there. Then we have a Colombian student join. The Colombian student introduces themselves. We have students from Turkey and a few other countries here, a student from Nigeria in Africa. It's all happening here in the exchange. The third topic there, culture around me, again, student introducing from China, the Chinese Tea Museum. A lot of information being shared, and the students using the English that they are studying to find out about each other and their cultures. And it makes for a really interesting and real way of interaction. We also see students starting to develop, their real feelings as well. This is the open forum. Recommend me a book, some really interesting books there. Let's practice speaking and listening. Here, what the students do is they post audio of themselves talking, and it's all spoken in interactions here. So that's another really wonderful way of learning English. So it's not just text. There's multimedia. Students can create their own audio or videos, and a lot of that happens. They talk about what makes them happy. Online classes versus face-to-face classes. You look at that, that's 88 replies there. There's a lot of interaction happening. You can see that there are 100 posts per page here, 100 posts. And there are 4 pages. So that's 400 posts, and each post has a lot of replies. So you can see, absolutely, there is an enormous amount of interaction happening. Students from various different countries, Turkey, Japan, Colombia, China, it's just phenomenal what's going on there. So this is the cookbook. There are 10 recipes per page here. And so we have 17 pages. That's 170 recipes that the students have created. Basically what you do is you click on Add Entry, type in the recipe name, the food, which country it's from, put the ingredients, the procedure, post a photo there, and save it. And it comes up and looks like this. So when we click on that, for example, rice omelette, the ingredients are there, the procedure, and students can comment on that. And we can see the comments. So again, a really cool way to use English and practice. So the final topic here, the final forum was the Professions Forum. And again, this one is not as active as some of the other ones, but there can be some quite interesting ones here where students really reflect on what they're doing and how they're doing it. Are you studying what you really want is one there. I don't know what to do. And students are getting feedback, really quite thought-provoking and interesting feedback. Okay, I feel sad that this is in my childhood. I want to be a musician, but now it seems to fail, and people give that student some really good feedback. The final thing that we do is a student-generated survey where we ask the students to ask questions. Okay, and then we gather up all the questions. The teachers choose the best 15 questions, and then we get them to take this survey that the students created. So, for example, this particular survey, we get some demographics, and then this student, well, a lot of students actually asked this question: what is the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning? What do you do just before you go to bed? Which do you prefer, online classes or face-to-face? How many brothers and sisters do you have? Which do you trust the most? Interesting question, yeah? Police, science, religion, etc. What are the most useful inventions? So the questions come up, and then you have to, what we do is we allow the students to choose the country and how that country replied. So at the moment, 443 students have answered. This is the 61 students from Turkey. How did they reply? Okay, what's your gender? Female, male, quite a big true. Check your phone. First thing you do when you wake up in the morning. What do you do just before to go to bed? Use your phone. Those Turkish students, they like using their phone. Face-to-face classes are more popular with them. One student, a brother and sister. Science, very highly trusted by the Turkish. Yourself and teachers, quite trusted. Politicians, not so trusted. Religion, not so trusted. Quite interesting there. Whereas Colombia, again, we see 193 students from Colombia have answered. And so you can then compare how students and from different countries see different things. So, for example, the Colombians trusting themselves is the biggest one. Science, not as trusted. Teachers, very well trusted by the Colombians. It's good to see. If we see here, this is from Japan. Use your phone. Check your phone. It's the most popular one. Oh dear, that's not so good, is it? Going to bed, reading. Goodness, we should have more students reading before they go to bed. But if we look here, Japan, yourself, the most trusted. Science, quite well trusted. Religion and politicians, the least trusted. So it becomes quite interesting. China, again, check your phone, the biggest one. Goodness me, not good. Again here, use your phone. 58, too many people watching their phones. Online face-to-face classes, like them both. Yep. Okay. So you can see that over time and through this, the students can find out a little bit more about their country. Okay. So that is basically what the exchange looks like. Okay. What are some of the outcomes that we've found? Well, language acquisition is what we talked about before, and it happens. We've proven that. Number of different research projects that we've carried out over the 5 years have shown vocabulary depth and breadth increases. Some syntax improvements is what we're looking at as well. Learner involvement, though, through that input-output increases. Students are more motivated to learn English because they know that they have to use it in the exchange. And this one is the very big one, cultural knowledge. Other and own culture. The students start to see, this is my culture, I have to learn more about it because I don't know enough. And so they start to learn their own culture as well. We have carried out a lot of research over the few years that we've done this, and we are consistently getting feedback from students saying that they think the exchange is beneficial for them. They are learning more English because of it, and they are becoming more culturally acclimatized because of it. They see that there's linguistic improvement, intercultural understanding, etc. It grows. There's very few negatives that they take away. What were the problems? What they didn't like? Nothing. That's the biggest one there. System problems. Okay, so there are a few, and we're continually working on making the system easier to use. But generally, some of the things that they say are not so good. Actually, if you look at it, this is actually a positive. Yeah? They want students to do more. They want their partners to do more. That means they want to interact more. Here, slow reply time, etc. Yeah? They want to do more, is what they're saying. So that's great. The other thing that we've looked at is intercultural sensitivity, which is the precursor to intercultural competency. And we've seen that students have improved their intercultural sensitivity. And we've shown that. Okay, conclusions from the research. First step in learning a new culture is to understand that you have your own. And this very clearly shows to students that that is the case. They also learn about other countries. We've shown that the exchange, participation in the exchange, increases interaction and confidence, increases knowledge of their own culture, improves motivation to learn English, and students become more interested in other cultures as well. And it lessens the shock impact of different cultures. It's cultural acclimatization. Okay, it's easy and free to join. Just send me an email and I will get you up and running. So we've got some time now for question and answer.
Thank you very much,
what I'll do
for
is
introduction of the project, which sounds like a very interesting project, actually. We have a question from the audience asking, they tried to create an account in the IVE project, but they couldn't do that. What could be the reasons for that?
Well, you cannot create an account. I have to create the account. We do not allow people to create accounts because that's a security risk. So you have to send me an email and then I will create the account for you, and then you can join. But you can only join as part of a class. Individuals are not allowed to join. Okay, the teacher has to be involved. Without teachers, the exchange does not work. So that's why I'm talking to you, the teachers. Okay, because
Eric, we have another question asking, what are the dates for joining? Because you mentioned that each program has a specific duration. So how could they find out when the next program is going to start?
Okay, the next exchange will start in April next year. At this stage, it's only twice a year, but we're looking to increase the number of exchanges to 3 or 4 times a year. Again, if you want to join, please send me an email. I think I've just put my email into the chat. So send me an email. I can answer any other questions that you might have. But yes, as you just mentioned, there's a question from Dima. The duration is 8 weeks. I mentioned that in the presentation.
One last question, Eric, please, if I may ask this. Is there a limit on the number of the students per teacher?
No. In fact, we have, well, obviously, each teacher will have sometimes only one student in their class. but some of them have 30 or 40 in their class. We have a number of institutions that put their entire student body in there. So, for example, a university in Japan, actually 3 universities in Japan have their entire student first-year body. So between 200 and 400 students from each of those universities are participating. So if a particular institution wanted to make this a part of their curriculum, that would be fine as well. There's no real limit to numbers. You can have as many or as few as you want, but teachers must be involved. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Eric, for this informative presentation. Thank you very much for everyone for attending this session. One last question for Eric before we move on, which is, will you provide training for teachers before the program?
As I mentioned in the presentation, yes, training occurs. We have online tutorials that we carry out via Zoom, and teachers can participate in those. We also do some recording of those.